One of the features that sets humans apart from other animals is the ability to plan for the future. The tool that allows this is the human brain, which has a unique capacity to process complex, abstract ideas and communicate same to other brains. Since this gift is the reason for our dominance of other species on the planet, it follows that mastering this gift and applying it towards development can determine one's status, even within the hierarchy of the human race. The Tertiary Education Trust Fund has a crucial understanding of the role research and development plays in guaranteeing an improved quality of life for all Nigerians. This is why it is working hard to promote a culture where educational and industrial content is seen as being of equal importance to infrastructural development. The two must grow hand in hand if progress is to be made. Professor Suleiman Elias Bogoro, the Executive Secretary of TETFund, shares his vision for the Standing Committee on Research and Development and the foundation which will succeed it.
The most developed nations of the world, their R&D funding as a percentage of GDP is between 2 to 6%. We have quite some work to do to catch up. To galvanize our vision towards making R&D the ace and game changer in our national development agenda, the need for appropriate law to support the establishment of this foundation cannot be overstated. We need a robust institutional framework and arrangement for this foundation. I'm recommending a minimum annual budget threshold because we have to define the funding windows to support the foundation if it comes into being. Budgetary threshold of $1 billion. That is my suggestion, but we leave it to the committee to arrive at anything that they feel appropriate. I think that should be the minimum, $1 billion, and it is achievable because we still have some funds within the system. And I know the committee will work on that. If they identify them, bring them on board. And we remember that that's exactly what Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, did between 1990 and 1992 with the military government of former President Babangida to arrive at signing an agreement that gave back to ETF that is today TETFund. It was innovation at its best. And I believe this committee, with the greatest of minds composed, will definitely replicate and who knows, even do better with an innovative paradigm going forward.
TETFund inaugurated its Standing Committee on Research and Development at the Transcorp Hilton, Abuja, Nigeria. The event was chaired by the Minister of Education, Alhaji Adamu, who was represented by the Minister of State for Education, Chukwuemeka Nwajuba.
I call to mind great researches that have been conducted in our nation. One that I enjoy most is the research that led to the grinding of beans into my mind. My mother and mothers before her conducted extensive research to know that beans ground and made into porridge, heated up, can feed a young boy and he'll be smiling at you like this. They also discovered that if you do not heat it in water, but put the same paste in oil, it can turn to kose. Great researchers they were. But the challenges of our new sociology compels us to expand the realms of our economic participation and therefore challenges our innovative spirit and where we must charge at.
The committee members, drawn from a pool of Nigerian researchers and innovators, representative of relevant MDAs and the private sector, are expected to drive TETFund's intervention policy in public tertiary institutions towards the nation's economic and technological competitiveness. The Standing Committee is chaired by Emeritus Professor Njida Gadzama, who gives an overview of its objectives and operations.
Well, this committee is a very large committee. It's over 160 highly distinguished members. And as a large committee, our objective is to develop research and development for TETFund, but actually is a national assignment. And research and development is a very, very important area of undertaking. For example, if you talk about what is the effect of research and development on the development of knowledge economy in the world, then you would know that there is no country that has succeeded in its economic development without the backup of research and development. For example, Singapore, they have very, very serious research and development. Research for development, specific. They zero in on certain areas, and they do a lot of research in those areas to back up the specific development for the economy of that area. So research and development is very, very important. And in fact, I would say that TETFund is an agency of Ministry of Education, but TETFund has been most successful in terms of assisting universities to have the kind of infrastructure that will enhance educational development. Without the TETFund, I don't think most of the federal universities can exist, because when you require, for example, very expensive laboratories, then TETFund is the only source that can do that for the universities. Allocation to universities cannot really, capital allocation cannot take care of that. So surprisingly, it is the same TETFund that said, what is happening in this country? Let us have very sound research undertakings. But that's not enough. For national development, you must have very strong research and development, not only just research and development, but foundation to be able to sustain information to back up the research priorities.
R&B activities lead to a systematic creative work resulting in new knowledge that can then be used to formulate entire new products as well as to improve existing ones. The Standing Committee is working on 13 thematic areas, many of which have objectives tied to the Sustainable Development Goals.
The main goal of this committee about to be inaugurated is therefore to fast-track Nigeria's global competitiveness in product development and service delivery by leveraging innovation systems led by R&D. For too long, I have always said, in the academia, we are more concerned with publication to take us to the next round. Very few patents came out of our publications, and many of the patents ended up not being taken up by industry. And that is why we have this platform that will sit and review the issues and challenges and proceed to make recommendations that will be a new beginning for our country. The key strategic focus of the exercise that this great committee is to undertake include institutionalization of R&D in Nigeria, content development in our tertiary institutions for improved global ranking, stimulating the development of R&D units and departments in private and public enterprises in Nigeria, establishment of National R&D Foundation for sustainable funding and management, mainstreaming R&D solutions for economic diversification, front-loading R&D for policy program and project development by governments at all levels. We can improve on the ranking of our universities, by the way, in Nigeria through deepening research, building our manpower capacity and enhancing our research infrastructure base. It looked like an utopian target from the beginning, but I'm happy to take note that TETFund has, through these deliberate interventions in our tertiary institutions over the years, achieved some significant milestones in this journey. We may not be there yet.
Agriculture is a key subcommittee, subgroup. And in each group, there will be about 14, 15 members of highly selected members for that group. Not necessarily professional of that group necessarily, but an heterogeneous group that will be discussing, but mainly professionals from related to that group. For example, agriculture. You have professors, renowned professors in agriculture, not only in crop science, but in animal science and in food science, and in fact, unions are included. So that you know that when you are discussing, you are not just discussing that parochial situation, you are discussing on a more global level. What will it be when you do research in agriculture? Extension must be part of that agriculture. Not only that, even labor should be part of that committee. You see, that is the trend of the formation of these 13 groups.
With so many professionals and intellectuals coming together to work under one standing committee, one wonders exactly how they intend to work and in what manner the dynamic team will be deployed.
It's amazing. TETFund has done very well. TETFund has prepared the grounds before these 160 people came. So these committees, they have, for example, a technical coordinating committee, technical coordinating team, they call them. And that technical coordinating team has given a lot of guidelines, have given a lot of documentation, have supported all these committees by rapporteurs, by those that are taking notes and recording. So in terms of coordination is wonderful. In fact, we just completed our meeting downstairs, interacting with the leaders of these 13 committees. And then, of course, we had also a meeting with the technical coordinating team to encourage them that they are really the real support. Whatever the committees would want, they are the ones to provide. And any other consultations, because these 13 committees are not just committees without connection with other discussions in the other committees. What is the flow of information? And how do you manage the putting together coordination? That is the work of the coordinating team. We met today and we hope to meet soon, maybe in 3 months' time. But during this time, the teams will continue to be discussing. They have now submitted their first draft report. But that's not the final. During this period, they will be discussing, they will be using Zoom facilities to discuss with each other. They will be going out to, again, manage to get more information to back up their team report. team document.
If you are driving your R&D activities to reduce manufacturing cost and improve your processes, it can provide you with less costly processes to manufacture your product and therefore provide them at more competing prices to your customers or increase your profit margins. This shows why research is a priority.
Research is a priority, but it has to serve the development of the nation. Henceforth, it has been institutional research. In the universities, you have institutional research. Now is more broader nationally when NUC is backing research. For example, I have research grant from NUC that backs my research. But this one is bigger than that. This one now is research what we do in Nigeria to back up development of this country. And this is wonderful because people have been discussing about research and development, this is the first time that that kind of thing has happened. And not only happening, but having national membership of really respected professionals and industrialists coming together. In this case, it's not just academia sitting by himself discussing. No. This time, you have industrialists. The chairman of industries is a member of this committee. And government is member of this. And then academic, very serious, very highly recognized academicians are part of this. Many renowned professors, distinguished in their areas, are part and parcel of this.
We actually need to get the thematic areas right. You can see we are matching two things, research and development. Let me start from the point of research. Research is about probing into what is existing or what you think is a new thing that you need to get clear and how you want to make use of that, the outcomes and output of that probing. So that's why what you see in research is that you are starting with a question, and that question you need to come up with hypothesis, either null or it's going to be positive. So, and even in new research, we can look at things like negative control and positive controls. What all of this is saying is that yes, you are going with a clear mind to say, okay, I don't understand, or I understand, I want to assume that this is what is happening. But the actual experiment will tell you either true or false. So a lot of research are going on in this country. People do research, they don't know it is research. So what we consider as research is this country, what we do when we are writing thesis in colleges of education, polytechnics and university. But do you know that a lot of SMEs are actually conducting research and they don't know it is research? For you to say you want to go into actual business across the world, part of the research you need to actually conduct is your market analysis. You need to understand your environment, you need to do impact assessment when it's a big project, and all of these are studies. So for people, they thought when it's talking about R&D, it's only talking to the university community, which is the primary constituency of TETFund, but by implication, it's going to radiate across the country. That is going to be on the research arm. And let me conclude by saying that before you can say you want to have sustainable development, you say that a lot of organizations in this country have their research departments abroad. That is going to be part of the paradigm that needs to change. If you are working in the banking sector, you are in the petroleum sector, you are in the agricultural sector, we want a situation that where you have your own research department in every organization, no matter how little. So that is going to continuously be putting you on track. And for you to know that, oh, these are emerging issues, I need to probe it. That is the kind of things that the ES of TETFund is looking at on the long run. So, but in the immediate, you need to start with your primary constituency. That's why I want to look at what's going on in the university system. Is it that we still want to continue to be writing theses and they are going to be on the shelf and they are not commercializable? And we actually know that every year in, year out, people are using resources. The student and the facility in the university, College of Education are being used to carry out some research. Are we going to continuously be leaving them on the shelf? So what kind of research? Are they empirical research? Are they just a research for just doing research sake because we want to get certificate? Or do we need to move on to say, okay, we can cascade this research and actually dimension them to problem-solving research that's going to give us output that can be useful at national and international level.
The Standing Committee on R&D is the forerunner of the much-anticipated R&D Foundation that will continue working to source funding for research in Nigeria's tertiary institutions, especially the 12 centers of excellence. The chairman of the Standing Committee reveals how this will impact the nation's research culture.
Our hope is that our report, which is a rare thing in Nigeria, the first of its kind, would cause government to establish research and development foundation for the development, economic development and physical development of Nigeria. And as I said in my introduction, there is no country that has achieved without this research and development backing its programs. So we hope that the report and the foundation will now be a base to propel, enhance the key planning of government for developmental situation in the country. So far we have had development, I mean there are but we must plan for development. We must have unity in development. We must have access. Developmental projects must have, for example, take for example, development of security. Now, we have police, we have military, we have air force, we have army, but when you have the actual security development, it means that all must work together at all times to protect Nigeria. There is internal, there is external. Protection from external, protection within internal. But all of them must work together. And if you have research and development supporting this, it works better. And that's what we want to achieve. Centers of excellence is very, very important. Take, for example, some time ago, I was the director of Arizona Studies Center in the University of Maiduguri. Now, if that is the center for excellence, it means everything to do with arid zone problem is reflected in the activities of that center. And it is a center, a reference center, so that anything you are talking about Sahel, you go to that center first before you do anything or do your studies on Sahel, because that will mean that center has all the necessary information for you to tap. And any problems, and there is problem because aridity is a problem, that is the center you go to first. And it will have excellence in every aspect of the reason for which that center is established. And we hope that this Arizona Center of Excellence Arizona is something that will do wonders, because desertification is one of the key problems of Nigeria. Population, Center of Excellence for Population Studies, if there is anything like that, then it will look at the implication of increase population without control, increase population vis-a-vis, in fact, employment, vis-a-vis developmental projections. So any center of excellence must be a center for the country's in-depth information.
By showing that Nigeria has the right structure to innovate constantly, it will make industries understand that the country has everything it needs to meet sustainable growth. Investors can now invest in the academia in partnership with the government for research and development as a proactive approach to grow their businesses. TETFund, through this new focus, can help discover talents in our academic system with innovative ideas that will prove attractive to companies that wish to do exciting things. And that is the paradigm shift.